I'm Artis Wodehouse, and today I'm going to do an overview of the performance capability of my 1916 Estey Artist Model Z. This instrument was created by the Estey Company in Brattleboro, Vermont, to appeal to what they called serious performers. Usually reed organs were used for hymn playing, simple song accompaniments, and simple dances, but apparently they thought there would be a market for a reed organ such as this that would have lots of performance capability and a very refined tonal palette. So I want to walk through what they were and give you the idea of why it is a considerable instrument. First of all, it's an American instrument, so the range is F to F. The European instrument is C to C. It has what you call a split point between middle C and B, right below it, and the stops above it, middle C, are controlled by these. The stops below are controlled by these. Interestingly enough, the Estey Model Z maintains the same nomenclature for both sides of the split point. So your 8-foot diapason is here, and your 8-foot diapason is here, and this is what it sounds like. Now, the 8-foot diapason is the most standard stop you're going to find on any reed organ or harmonium. It plays at the pitch that you see in your sheet music. This Estey Model Z also has a 4-foot stop called the flute, and this plays an octave higher than what you'll see in sheet music. Often these two are put together for nice volume. In addition to those two, another very standard stop on the harmonium, the European harmonium, and most larger American reed organs is what you call the 16-foot stop, and it's called, on this Z model, the clarinet on both sides, and what it does, it plays an octave lower than what you will see in the sheet music. Now we come to some of the nice stops on this instrument. The first, which is the Vox Jubilant. It says 8-foot, 8-foot. It plays at the pitch that you see in the sheet music. But this rank of reeds, metal reeds, interior-wise, has one set at one tuning and another entirely different set at a slight detuned from the first set. So you get this shimmer effect that's very beautiful. And this Vox Jubilant is really beautiful on this instrument. Now, here's another stop that corresponds actually to the number 4 stop on the European harmonium. It's called the oboe. It's another 8-foot stop, which means it plays at the pitch you read in your sheet music, and it sounds like this. Now, so it's the same pitch as your diapason, but here, listen to what the diapason sounded like this. once again, the oboe. So they're different sound qualities. Oftentimes in European harmonium music, you find that people like Vierne will couple these two. And by the way, you can play a lot of Vierne, César Franck on this instrument, European harmonium music. And here's the effect you get. The tone is much more present and forward. So it's nicer for more, volume is not exactly the word to use, but just more penumbra to the tone. Okay, so we have that. Oh, now here we have this, the harp aeolian. This is a 4-foot stop, plays an octave higher than sheet music written, and it's very similar to the vox jubilant in the sense that the flute stop is accompanied by another set of detuned reeds. So you get that same shimmer effect you got in the vox jubilant, but in the harp aeolian. Now you can hear in my instrument just how out of tune this instrument is, and certainly the stops that tend to go out really a lot on any of these reed organs and harmoniums are the higher stops. They're very hard to tune and keep in tune. So those are the primary stops, but there's one other stop that I didn't mention, which is the sub bass. Now remember there was a clarinet that was an octave lower than written. Well, the sub bass is the same way too. Now here, but it only plays between these two notes. Now the clarinet is actually at the same pitch. But you notice the sub bass is duskier, more distant, and some people say, well, the sub bass is substituting for the pedal board of the organ, but I think that actually this sub bass on the Estey Model Z is just another tonal color, and it's wonderful. And I use it in a most recent video I made on this instrument, playing the church scene from Gounod's Faust. Okay, so now I think I forgot the octave coupler, which is a very important thing to be able to master on this instrument. What it does is, let's go back to our primary stop, the diapason A-foot. It plays an octave higher. It triggers a note an octave higher than the pitch note. And you can see how even the keys go down. Same thing in the bass. Now the beauty of this is if you're playing along and you're just playing, say, 8/4, 8/4. Here, put on these. It's very brilliant because it's an octave higher. Nice for grander effects. But speaking of grand effects, here is this left knee paddle. And that triggers what is called the grand jeu, grand playing. And what the grand jeu does, when you press it over with your knee, it causes all the 8, 4, and 16s to sound. However, not the detuned ones like the vox jubilant or the aeolian. That's another story, but here. produces a wonderful, rich, warm sound. In fact, that's one of the characteristic features of the Estey Z. It's not a hooty sound. It's very warm, very almost orchestral. But the Z was never meant for a large venue. It was meant for a salon, a large living room, a small chapel, not a concert setting for thousands of people. Now there's one other stop on the stop list, but I'll get to that after I discuss just one other feature, which is the right knee paddle over here. And what that does is there's a shutter inside that opens and closes. So if I'm playing, let's just say, now using the same amount of pedaling, so it causes the instrument to be louder. And it can be on a gradation, and when you work it with your foot pumping, which controls airflow, and use this very artistically, you can really shape and craft dynamic phrasing, and it's actually quite a sensitive instrument in this respect. The one thing that this instrument does not have is what you call double expression, which is what you have in the art harmonium of Europe, is that you can't make balance between left and right hand. But what you can do to create more sound in the treble when you have the melody up there, of course, is to supplement, say, your basic stop with an additional stop, such as the flute. Backgrounding, but very supportive, but you've got the soprano coming out really strongly. So there are ways to get the impression of balance between the left and the right on this instrument. Finally, I think I've covered everything except for one stop called the tremolo. Now you can see the tremolo in both European harmoniums and American reed organs. And what it is a fan device in the back that when you pump, it causes the tremolo to engage. And hopefully it's engaged. It for describing what this instrument can do. The problem with it is this, at least from my standpoint. The problem is there was no indigenous repertoire written specifically for it. And that's why I've neglected to restore this instrument. The instrument right now as it stands, lots of tuning issues, and although it plays pretty well, and you can hear that on some of my videos, but the action is horrendous because as soon as you add even an octave coupler or additional stops to the primary stop, it becomes extremely hard to press down. Not to mention what happens when you do this. Oh. You have to have the touch of a gorilla. So that happened, it's speculated that happened when a certain restoration was done maybe several decades ago to ensure that there's no leakage in the palettes that cover each one of the ranks of reeds. It definitely needs adjustment. It will make it much easier to play, but the other issue is the tuning issue, and that's sort of a nightmare. But there are certain ranks here that are worse off than others. The oboe is not good. Certainly the Aeolian harp is not good. But it varies from place to place. So a recent video I did of the Gounod church scene, fortunately it was lying in a range where these tuning issues didn't really turn up significantly. So I was able to pretty successfully do that rendition. So the question is whether it will get restored or not. That's pending certain issues that I have regarding money and space, and it's hard to say whether I will go forward with that. But in any case, an instrument of this type could be playing Bach, it could be playing Mendelssohn, it could play a lot of harmonium repertoire, some of the simpler pieces of Franck, Vierne, certainly Tournemire. So it has usefulness within the repertoire that was written for either, well, certainly for the European harmonium. But what's really intriguing about this instrument is that I found there are certain American pieces that work really well on this instrument. Please tune in to my performance of a piece by Philip Glass that I performed at the Estey Fest last fall on a restored Z. It's gorgeous. So who knows what's going to happen next. Thanks for watching.